Hello. Hello. Still talking to you from across my desk. I don't have the microphone. Well, I mean, I do have microphones built into this dang little tower that I'm talking to over here. It's like I'm talking to a droid over in like a computer droid. All right, we're doing okay. I hope you're doing well. I'm here, gonna do a live update for you. Yes, a live update. I don't even know if I am live. So before I even get going, let me jump over to the chat room and just see if we're even still going on Twitch. Wow, we're still going. Hello, hello. Hey, I see everybody in chat. Let's read some names. You guys, I don't normally read names, do I? Diamond Gold, Baby Duck, Thought Crime. Wow, these are like the old school regulars. My goodness, guys, we've been together. This is we're like the graduating class coming back together. Okay, it's good to see you. What have you guys been doing? What have you been up to this year? It's Thought Crime. Letty Love Letter one. I don't recall that name before. Welcome in. I haven't talked to you before. Thought Crime. I already said that. Ty Dia. Okay, that one John guy. I like that name. Anyway, we're rocking and rolling. We're here on the stream, and man, things are. It looks like things are picking up. I mean, we're on schedule. If you are paying attention to the solar activity and the coronal holes and the solar wind and activity on the sun, we knew to watch a few days after that last solar storm that arrived. And the deep earthquake activity, I mean, again, in between the deep earthquakes is where I'm watching for a new break to take place. And then in the past day, this all happened. Again, take a look in the last day and a half. Here we go. Look at it. So all the way across from, let's just say Taiwan, 5.2 to 5.3, over to a 5.1 to 5.2 south of Guam. That's, I guess, next to American Samoa. Wait, hold on. No, Micronesia? No way. Hold on. Hold on. Oh no. Oh no. Ah, shit. Shit. God. Okay. Okay. Look. Oh, Micronesia just got hit, guys. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm gonna carry on. We'll explain why this matters in a second. Oh. Oh, my life is so freaking weird. Life is so weird. Okay, here we go. So 5.1 struck there, 5.1 struck there, 5.2 struck up here. They're all the same sized earthquakes on all three sides of the plate boundaries. And at this point, I'll just turn on the display capture so we can explain why I just got so animated all of a sudden. Oh, we don't want to look at this one. Hold on. Let's close this. That's the Australians. What we want to do is get the information, I guess, from the USGS. State of Chuck. State of Chuck. Are you serious? Are you serious? Are you serious? I am Pastor Paul Begley now because we're just going to go open up Google Earth. We're just going to dive right in. We're not going to go anywhere beyond this one right here. Okay. Look, let me explain why I'm freaking. Yesterday, I got on and did this long-winded, just on and on and on and on I went, and I talked about Ascension Island. I measured from island to island to island across the Pacific, and I talked about the 1,400-mile spacing going across the Pacific, and I lectured on this literally for 2 hours yesterday. And let me turn on all of our place marks and everything so I can show you why this matters. So here is Ascension Island. And if we stick our head through the planet here at Georgetown or at the center of Ascension Island, we go all the way over to the opposite side of the planet to a place called Micronesia. And in Micronesia, here, I zoomed in on Micronesia, and the head, if you stick your head through at the center of the island at Ascension Island on the opposite side of the planet, you come out right here on this five-sided pentagonal star fort shape of an island. It's a pentagon shape, ancient pentagon shape. Now, why does that matter? Well, let's go see how close our new earthquake is to this. I just got to go see. State of shock. That is so funny. The people at the USGS, I'm telling you, if they're not messing with me, they should be, because, man, if they're not messing with me, then the greater puppet masters of the universe are. Not God, somebody else. But whatever. Let's just see how close we really are. Okay, let's measure. Here's the earthquake epicenter, state of shock. What the hell is with that name? Look, if it was 666 miles, we might have a problem, right? Almost 700 miles exactly from the center of the island. How far from the edge? 680. It's about 600 miles away. I mean, that's kind of far away, but it's close enough to. I mean, in Micronesia, normally we're up here. We're on the plate boundary going to the north on the Idzu Ridge, and we're going down to Palau. But to get it over here, pretty rare. We don't see it very often. So when I see Micronesia on the feed at all, I've got to start to wonder. Now, when you zoom in here, we've got all kinds of small islands at the surface. And this is tied in with plate tectonics and volcanism. So we've got both. We've got plate tectonics folding, they get almost like mountains that form. And then you also get ancient volcanoes that are weathered, and both happen. And you also get reefs that build up on these as well. So a little bit of everything kind of on the island forming aspect when it comes to this, on the atolls. Now, we blew the hell out of a lot of them up here to the north with nuclear weapons. Wow. Again, not expecting to see Micronesia on the list. Okay, so same-sized earthquakes on all three sides of the plate boundary. Let's go look at the USGS plate boundary map really quick and just show you what's just moving. So now that you understand the antipode thing and they're on the opposite sides of the planet, and it's just weird for this to be, again, look how it's out there in the middle of kind of nowhere off the plate boundary. But I'm going to show you how this is connected to the plate boundary. There is a connection between this earthquake out here, this blue earthquake, and the plate boundary that's the red line many hundred miles over to the west. But remember, we have the same sized earthquakes on all three sides of this triangular shaped plate boundary area. One is over to the east. What's there? Well, you can kind of see it here. It's like a connection point. This isn't from undersea imagery. This is actually a fold or bend in the plate that you see that? It's a trench, but it's not a plate boundary. So it's a lateral crack in the plate that's not a plate boundary, but this could be an interior plate, an ancient from a long time ago. And it doesn't just dead end there. It carries on. You see the ridge. They've mapped it. And you can follow it. It bends over to the west. It's like a canyon, if you want to think of it like that, as opposed to a giant, deep 20,000-foot drop-off here. It's more like 5 to 10,000 feet deep at these locations. Or no, wait, hold on. This one's 20,000 feet. It goes 20,000 and then it goes up, up, up. And we get shallower up here, 14, 13, 10, 11, 12, goes up. Okay, so what's crossing across here? The wave is going across here instead of going down here to the pinnacle point. Let's go back to the USGS map. Instead of going down here to the pinnacle point of the plate boundary where they all meet up, it's going across this way where the USGS has nothing marked. But they're all three of the same sized earthquakes. This matters because we're looking for this spot right here to break at Papua New Guinea with something that could go up to 7.0 or greater in the next few days. So next to it, over here, all this starts to move. One more time, USGS map. All this starts to move here, and we're looking for this right here at the Bismarck Sea, eastern Papua New Guinea, to break with a new 7. What else is going on? Down here, 5.5, rare earthquake, 5.4, striking in New South Wales, and then further south, down in the plate boundary area next to Antarctica, a 6.4, 6.1 to 6.4. It depends on who you go with. But look at it. So, I mean, come on. We're moving across all of this. So from up here next to Philippines, south of Taiwan, over to the state of Chuck, down south to Indonesia. Then we go across Australia, hit yesterday, and then all the way down here. So all of this, I'm expecting something to happen in the middle of what we call a whole hot mess that's right here. And the smack middle of it is right here. Wouldn't you say? If we were measuring from all the way up here to the 5.2 and all the way down here to the 6.2 and right in the middle of that whole hot mess, you would say it's somewhere right here in the middle. That's the spot where I issued the warning before all this happened. All this has happened in the last day. So it's starting to take place, looks like. And what's starting to take place? The Indo-Australian plate going up to the north, up into the Pacific, is starting to shift. And we're expecting a break along the edge of the plate boundary that's significant. And what's causing that? Oh, got a new earthquake here reported over in China and Russia. But what's causing that? The deep movement down below the plate that's coming up. Something's coming up from below the plate, below the Indo-Australian plate. Well, pretty much the Australian portion of it, but below here, something's coming up and it's going to break here. It's moving all the way down south, all the way over to the east, all the way up north, and over to the west. Well, let's go check this one out. Let's just hit here. A new 5 just struck in Aktash, Russia. Aktash, Russia. Let's go see what's going on over there. A new 5. That's the Australians. Let's get it from the USGS. So when I don't know what's at a location, I mean, I can already tell you that we have arrows up here. Let's go up to Russia and just take a quick look. So our arrows are coming across Siberia, just to generalize which way we expect the flow to go if we get a big earthquake up here. But this coming in, let's go take a look and see what resides there. Somewhat of a rare location. We don't normally talk about Russia much, do we, guys? We're not normally talking about earthquakes in Russia unless it's Siberia. What do we have here? Russian town. Okay. What else? Base camp for peak climbing here. So we've got a large peak that goes up to 10,000 feet. Okay, those are 10,000 foot high peaks. They're not mega huge, but what else do we have here nearby? Well, we're at the border region with China or Mongolia. Silominskaya Naj in Nalibnyivny Park. Park. P-A-R-K. That's P. I took Russian in high school. I'm 48 now, so it's like kind of hard to remember. But I took Russian in high school. I could read it, you know. That's park at the end there. That's a P and an A and an R and a K. That's for sure. Okay, so we got a park there. Uh-oh. So what do we have? A giant star fort here or something? Here's the Aktash. Here's Aktash or Aktaj. With Russia, it's hard to tell. I don't see any pumping operations. I don't see any volcanoes. I don't think anything suspicious is standing out right off the tip of the bat. But then again, you could probably analyze this area from a different angle and maybe come to a different conclusion. Now, no power plants. Rare 5.0 earthquake coming across this area. Where could it have come from? Let's take it back a few days. Let's go see. Did anything else happen across Siberia that I somehow missed? Oh, cool. Okay. Well, apparently at the start of the week, 6 days ago, or wait, on the 18th, yeah, 6 days ago, a 4.7 to 5.0 earthquake struck up here next to our arrow, letting us know something was coming across. I was not paying attention at that point. I was literally not here at the house. So there we go on that. That's why I missed it. So an earthquake struck up here at the start of the week in 5.0 range, upper 4, low 5. And now we get a 5 coming across. So that's where it came from. And now it's just, it's probably an unmarked fault. The USGS doesn't have a marked fault in there. There's got to be some faults in there that are coming across. Look at the way the mountains are shaped, and that kind of tells you which way the faults are going. Kind of west and east at this point. You follow it back this way. Follow it back this way. Yeah, I mean, it does. It goes back to Siberia, where we would expect it to come in from the north. And that's where it came in from. Let's go back and look one more time. It came in from up there, all the way up here. Took 6 days for it to reach and go in and reflect back into itself. And that's what this whole thing is right here. Okay. Let's take a look and see what's going on across the rest of the plate. Oh, wait, hold on. What? What is going on out here? What is happening? Why are we getting these earthquakes in the middle of the plate? Faya, Largo, Chad. Chuck and Chad. I'm getting trolled by the USGS. That's what it is. That's what it is. Chuck and Chad. All right, let's go. Stayed at Chuck, going down to Chad. Let's do it. Who's the Chad? Who's the Zoomer? We got Zoomers at the USGS. Take your ear pods out of your ears. Get off your hoverboards and pay attention, class. Give an old man a break for a minute, will you? No, get off my front lawn or I'll be outside. Well, today was Saturday morning, so that was me outside on my John Deere, like trying to wake you up. What's going on out here? We're out in the middle of the desert. I don't recall ever having to look up an earthquake out here, but I do see a giant volcanic field to the north and a weathered one that's over here to the east that's not even marked. Several of them, but this one up here, let's go take a look and just show you what it looks like. So here's Emikusi. This one's giant, large Emikusi volcano in the southeast end of the Tibesti Range, a 60 by 80 kilometer massif. Huge. In the middle of it are other smaller buttes. Look at this. Look at all these cones and buttes that form inside. Spatter cones, previous eruptions that happen, smaller eruptions that happen, bigger blasts that happen inside of the greater caldera that also collapse. Think of that more like something like Mauna Loa or something over in Hawaii. And look how many times it's done it. Some of them are way ancient, but it looks like it does kind of the same thing each time. It'll do a series of huge eruptions, then put off smaller lava flow. Oh, look at that, a much younger formation inside the greater caldera. All right, well, how many miles are we from that? That's a pretty far distance. I normally look 40 miles, but that's way more than 40. Let's see, 190 miles to that giant massif. But we're only 100 miles to the east. We have this other volcanic field. I'd be willing to bet they connect through and that this is all covered with sand, in which case we could look right through the center of here and this would all just be buried in sand. Ancient volcanism from long ago buried below the sand dunes. Look at this. Oh, wait, hold on. Is there some coming up through the sand? Are these cities? This is city? Oasis towns? Oasis towns. Look at that. Hold on. Then the volcanic field picks back up here. I was correct. It is covered in sand. You can't even see it really at this altitude. We have to zoom in pretty close to get the pieces of the volcanic field in view where it loads. There we go. Covered in sand, an ancient volcanic field that spans between the two. And then we're only talking a few miles to what is a buried ancient volcanic field. Let's look off into the distance and just see. Oh, yeah, look at that. Man, can you imagine? Can you imagine going to these places? Could you imagine going to this? Look at this. Weathered cinders from long ago, black basalt coming up out of the desert along with little plateaus covered in sand. That's cool. Okay, Chad, huh? All right, ancient volcanic field there. I wonder if there's anything else here. Hold on. I haven't really inspected Chad too much. How often do you go look at Chad? Let's go take a look and see what, I mean, clearly this is blowing sand that's creating that erosion, but the greater shape here. With that volcanic field connecting between, really, it's a giant volcanic field going around this thing. What's going on up here? More of the same. More of the same. Look at this. I mean, the amount of volcanism on that would just be insane if this. I mean, here's another example of it. This is a volcanic field. These are lava flows. This at one point, this was all a lava flow. One big one. Look at it. We'll zoom in and hopefully get a higher resolution image. There we go. Okay, so you get the idea of like that's all lava. So let's back it out. And how big is that? Well, let's get a measurement across. 100 miles across, or 120 at the furthest point, or just generally speaking, it's 100 miles across. This one is from over here to over here. That's 600 miles across. Volcanic field, I already showed it to you. Again, the earthquake's on the edge of it. Part of it's covered in sand, but they do connect between. One's marked on one side with all the giant massifs, and then the other is more like lava flows that are covered and small buttes. And then more over to the east here. And let's turn it around proper north so we get our orientation again. So you could just say that all of the Central Sahara is an ancient volcano, at least this, here to here, all of this here, and all of this here. The Aktar volcanic field. Atacor. Atacor. So you get the picture. I mean, we're talking, thousands of miles of volcanism here in the middle of Africa, covered in sand. So we don't really get to see much of it. They don't really talk about it because, I mean, this like kind of changes like how you would view Earth maybe a little bit. That, right? And then you get into this, and it's like, well, what's that big circular thing? Why are the volcanoes all around it? And it's like, well, it looks like the center of it was a giant ancient volcano in itself, guys, and it's just buried in sand. Maybe I mean, look what's coming up out of the center of it. Ancient calderas. Unnamed. There's no name on these. No Smithsonian on these. Look. Oh, wait. Uh-oh. We got some shapes in here. Uh-oh. Hold on. We've got some symmetry in there. I don't like seeing hexagonal or pentagonal symmetry in large things. I don't really enjoy seeing that. A diamond shape or a hexagonal shape of some kind where you have to try and explain it, how it exists somehow without it being formed by humans. Okay, or other creatures. But that being said, these are certainly weathered remnants of ancient calderas like the Aknaha crater up in Scotland. Almost looks exactly just like that. Let me show it to you. Up in Scotland. Aknaha crater is right. Where is it? Right here. Wait for it to load. Oh no, that's one of them. Hold on. Here it is. Aknaha, you can stay in the volcano cabins there. This is in Scotland now. But look at the shape of it, right? Just like the one we were looking at down in the Sahara, Chad. So that all being said, this whole thing is a giant ancient volcanic complex. It just makes you wonder, um, when you look at that and you see this is all volcanism. Now check this out. Here's the Middle East. So that's Africa, right? So here's the Middle East, and here's Saudi Arabia, right? Saudi Arabia, you got Yemen down here, you got Africa down here. But look over to the east of Israel. All of this is volcanic lava flows. And I can prove it. I'll just zoom in and show you. Like the Haram Ash Sham volcanic field. This is the Smithsonian on it. 15,200 square kilometers. Just this volcanic field alone. And you go up to the north and you've got fresher flows and eruptions, and then older ones that are covered. And look at this. It just goes out into the desert. Ancient volcano after ancient volcano. So the whole thing, this, all of this, you could follow the volcanoes. They look like pock marks on the ground. They're so old, though. Look how old and weathered that is. And it goes down, and then it gets covered with sand here. And then we go back down. Now let's turn our countries on. The amount of volcanism here is insane. This is Saudi Arabia, by the way. And all of this is volcanism. Some younger, some older. Look at the size of that. I mean, okay. So we go on and on and on and on, all the way down, and the whole thing's an ancient volcanic field. So at some point, this was just going insane when it comes to volcanism. From up here, just east of Israel, out in the desert, east of Jordan, and boom, 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 boom. Then we get down here and we go through pretty much all of Eastern Africa and all of this. And they're still there today. I mean, it's not like they're that old. And I mean, so you start to look at it that way, that all of this was some kind of ancient volcanic field that was an insane level of volcanism compared to the rest of the planet. The only other spot you might see something like that is over in the United States. So that being said, I mean, on the surface, under sea, we have a boatload more, way more undersea. So many undersea, you wouldn't even believe it. Tens of millions of volcanoes exist undersea. I'm not exaggerating. You want to see? You want to see them undersea? This is off the coast of California, for instance. And I can zoom in and you'll see that we have small cones, and we're going by like 10 and 20 miles here, 30 miles, 50 miles. Now we're looking out at it like 100 miles. But you see how many there are. This is just off the coast of California right here on this one ridge. All these volcanoes. See how many there are? There's tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of volcanoes just there. And then we go out into the ocean and there's so many more. All of these are undersea mountain volcanoes. And they're in chains, 4 and 5, 6, 7, 10 volcanoes long. And that's just one ridge here. We get back up here and they're nestled up and building up into mounds of hundreds again. And this is just off the coast of Oregon and California. We go down through Mexico, on the surface in Mexico. Here are our marked volcanoes, but now look, I'm going to zoom in. Do you see how many volcanoes we actually have here in Mexico? This isn't from farming. These are old volcanoes. Now I'm going to back it out and show you. This is just Mexico. And we can go through the fields and show you they're everywhere. Tens of thousands of them. They don't have a mark. There's so many. Some are so weathered down. Others still have a good peak to them. This is down in Mexico. They're being farmed in many cases. Check it out. Look at this one. It's being farmed. But okay, so now look at Mexico here. It goes on and on and on, all the way across. Tens of thousands of them. And I'm not exaggerating. And some of them have erupted more recently, like this one, for instance. Like it's not even no tree cover. There's a lava flow coming off of it, going out into the green. But right next to it is, one that's ancient. That somebody may even be farming the inside, or look. Okay, but then you get the picture for how many. Like here's three side by side. But that's just Mexico there. And then you get off the coast and you get 10,000 more, 100,000 more, a million more. Just off the coast of Mexico. We can go on and on and on. It's the same way all around the world. Look at all these. You know. We're getting sidetracked, guys. We're getting sidetracked. What else is there to talk about? Not much else. Oh, the Deepwater Horizon well and the salt domes off the coast of the Gulf of Mexico. I don't know what to tell you. Don't know what to tell you. A lot of people don't want to talk about that. I don't blame you. We won't talk about it. That's how much I don't want to talk about it. The BP oil spill in Deepwater Horizon, dude, it's like the most controversial thing still to speak about. All these people showed up on my post going off on me. That's not why I'm not talking about it. Again, there's no reason to. It's off the coast. It's about 70 miles off the coast of Gulf Shores, and it's about 50 miles away from the Deepwater Horizon well, but it's in the same salt dome complex off the coast. It looks like Mount Rainier is having a swarm of small earthquakes and one lone microquake down at Mount St. Helens. So that's a slight change. Mount Rainier doesn't only have a swarm, but it is below the crater at Mount Rainier. Here, the stack of earthquakes here is at Clear Lake Volcanic Field. So that's normal, though. We normally see that regularly. I'm looking for anything out of the ordinary. That's all I'm really doing. It's kind of like a doctor asking you to open your mouth and stick out your tongue. Just looking for anything abnormal here in the United States that stands out. Let's see. The only oddball out is the one next to the Deepwater Horizon well right now, but that doesn't mean much. We can see a change instantly as things develop in the West Pacific. Over towards Europe, I noticed people are talking about the worry of eruption at Campi Flegrei volcano in Italy. And while I'm still watching Campi Flegrei, it looks like the seismic wave is starting to go around the outside edge of Europe, just like we were hoping. And North Italy got hit, and now Iceland and Svalbard are being hit. And we expect this. We want to see this. We want to see the seismic flow go out of the Caribbean, or I'm sorry, out of the Mediterranean and go out all the way over here to the mid-Atlantic ridge. I was thinking Caribbean because we want to watch the flow go out of the Central America region, go across the Caribbean and come out here to the mid-Atlantic ridge as well. And I mean, it already has this past week. Take a look. Look at the last 6 days worth of earthquakes. All of our spots have been hit all the way across. Let's look at 4.0 and greater. And then we'll look at 5s. Well, hold on. 3.8. There we go. So here's 4.0 and greater, and you'll see X marks the spot. Each one hit. Except for the one coming off the Caribbean. So the one coming off the Caribbean, I'm looking for it. Should be the same size as the rest. Might be the combined total of what's between on both sides. So that could get up to 5.6 to 5.7, striking here on the X or very close to it in the next few days. And that will fulfill the whole mid-Atlantic ridge being filled in with earthquakes in the last 6 days, going from the North Pole to the South Pole. And that's a lot. We don't normally see this every week. Only when the planet's getting pushed around and we start seeing new deep earthquakes pop off as the planet's getting pushed around. What's pushing it? Well, as far as I know, solar wind. Solar wind, charged particles, that's what's pushing the planet around. And then we see perturbances and disturbances kick up after or during these solar events. And the earthquakes are somewhat of a byproduct of the core of the Earth responding to the solar wind. Long story on that. Don't want to get into that now. Other than to tell you, if you see a solar storm or strong solar wind happening, then you pay attention for earthquake activity to pick up shortly thereafter, or during, even sometimes during the solar storm itself, but usually it's 1 to 2 days afterwards, we start to see a big increase in seismic activity and volcanic activity as well can kick up with that. I have not checked the Volcanic Ash Advisory Center, so I could not tell you for the life of me what is on the VAAC. Let's see, volcano discovery. Latest volcanic ash advisory reports. All the regular suspects I'm seeing on the list that we would talk about for the last several years are still here now. So Mount Ibu in Indonesia, Semeru in Indonesia, 15,000, 7,000 foot high blasts. Sanjay in Ecuador, Santiaguito in Guatemala. Apparently seismic activity at Santiaguito, not even in the ash. I'm looking for anything big on the list or any new names that might not normally be on there. And when you look at it for years, you can kind of tell the regular, right? It's kind of like the regular suspects, right? They just kind of show Luitolo, Semeru. These are all regular eruptors. I'm not seeing any huge blasts on the list right now. Sakurajima, Merapi. Merapi can produce large eruptions that can go very large sometimes, but not yet. So there's no new names on the list. That's good. So this list looks like a list I've looked at years ago, but it's the same volcanoes now. That's good. Now, if anything changes, volcanic-wise, that can change seismically. We can then look for a change around the area. If there's a big eruption, you can then look for new seismic activity to develop out and away from the volcanic activity. But we'll wait to see if any of that develops. I don't forecast eruptions, but they do play into forecasting if there's one taking place. Like you expect the plate boundary to shift next to a large volcano that's erupting, because the plate boundary is going to shift as the magma chamber exits or deposits its contents out to the surface. There's going to be some shifting on that nearby plate boundary as that magma chamber deflates. And then we see that over and over again. A big eruption and a 5.0 earthquake accompanying that a few days later after the eruption as the magma chamber starts to move. Then a few 100 miles away, even a few 1,000 miles away sometimes, the plate boundary then shifts as the plate shifts. And the plate shifting because of the magma chamber exiting its content. Okay. It is Saturday night, guys. Saturday night. I'm going to have to turn on my phone again to get the sound on this stream so I can hear the music that I play, because I think I'm probably going to play some music tonight. I don't know how well it's going to sound again because I'm on a different setup now and I've got to get it all taken care of. We're going to get the studio set up. We're waiting for stuff to arrive. I had to order some stuff. And so right now I'm talking to you literally through my computer. It's a microphone array built into the tower itself. So it probably sounds pretty crappy, but I'll have my other microphone back soon. Otherwise, you guys have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. I'm here. I'm here. I've been here this whole time, but man, I've been laying low. We were getting messed with for real by the powers that be and that aren't supposed to even be. It's all good, though. It's all good. When I say mess with, you wouldn't believe it. Not going to get ranting, but dude. All right. Much love. Much love. I'll be around. Hey, guess what? By the way, St. Louis got hit really hard with an F3 tornado, and it hit downtown north side St. Louis, which is like one of the poorer areas of St. Louis City. And it was already somewhat neglected, of course, because it's a poor area. And the people there got just hit really hard. And the federal government is now making some funds available for the government, for, to give money to St. Louis or something. But you can imagine St. Louis isn't exactly the best run city. They voted out the previous administration that was corrupt. I think personally corrupt. You won't find news articles really saying that, but previous administration in St. Louis was corrupt, and the people of St. Louis got wise to that last year and voted out a lot of those people. But anyway, it didn't make a change quick enough because it's only been a few months since the people got voted out. And they didn't have an emergency setup for the north side of St. Louis. They had to press a button to set off the tornado sirens. And it was at the fire department or something in downtown St. Louis in some building, and the button didn't work. Anyway, the people got creamed and they didn't get the warning. You'd have to have like social media or a phone warning to get it or something like that, which luckily a lot of people did. And 5 people died though. And again, it was a lot of people got hurt because they didn't get a warning officially, like siren wise. And they, people out on the road or maybe didn't have the phone on them or whatever. So keep people in the St. Louis area in your prayers. If you pray, will you please pray for the people of St. Louis, even though they're somewhat ungrateful? And the federal government's doling out some money. And then I found something. So the federal government is saying that they have to try to scrounge together some cash to help with disasters. And this goes back to the previous president, too. So you can't just blame one president now or then or whatever. So I'm not trying to blame anybody. But you know how it is with the government. They were able to, squeak out billions of dollars and just find it for like Ukraine or something. But like when it comes to paying out people who need help in the U.S., they don't give out money, right? Well, instead of giving out money, what I found is that the United States federal government is giving out, I found today, about an hour ago, $15 billion being given out by the Department of Transportation for COVID disaster relief payments being paid out until 2029. 15 billion going from the Department of Transportation to pay for COVID disaster relief, guys, from the DOT paid out to all these special little companies to provide training and disaster assistance on COVID to governments and like this. And like, it's unbelievable. 15 billion. And it's filed under disaster assistance payouts till 2029. So what I did was I wrote Doge in the Doge, DOG, right? Department of Government Efficiency. I wrote them and I wrote the Department of Transportation, Doge, DOT. I also wrote Trump and Musk, and I wrote my local news, NBC News. Because what it is St. Louis is having some hard times getting disaster relief funding. Not to give out payment to people, but I'm talking like to get the roads and the buildings rebuilt and stuff like that, the infrastructure redone. It's the poorest part of St. Louis. And apparently the Department of Transportation is doling out billions of free dollars, grants, guys, not loans, grant money to private companies to do this grift off on COVID. So I wrote Doge and I said, this is obviously a grift, payouts till 2029 on COVID for freaking Department of Transportation. Can some of this money be cut? 15 billion. Can some of this money be cut? And St. Louis just needs like 50 or 100 million at the most, which is a drop in the bucket. I mean, 15 billion, 100 million, and as a thank you to Dutch for finding it, maybe they could just send it to my hometown. I'm not asking for a dime. And not for money to go to the people, because again, cash payments to people gets wasted. but for infrastructure repair, road repair, building repair, fiber optic, or the whole thing to get installed. Why not? Why not dig up the roads there while they're at it? And just do the whole refurbishment of the area that got hit with the tornado using disaster relief funds that were supposed to go for grift off on COVID. And instead it goes to the city of St. Louis, just 100 million, and then cut the rest, the disaster relief, or take it the other half or all of it and give it out to the hurricane victims and all those people that need help and all their houses rebuilt, and use that COVID money that was going from the Department of Transportation, 15 billion worth, to actually help people. So I typed this all out and wrote Doge. It's not just me talking. I actually typed this out and sent it to them just an hour ago. So I hope St. Louis gets something. And then, by the way, I feel like the New World Order kind of owes me something anyways. They burnt down my hometown, Ferguson, just to send a message. So, I mean, I got the message and I laid off. I stopped, but they owe me. They burned down my hometown, man. So 100 million. St. Louis needs it. It'll rebuild some roads, put up a bunch of new poles, that kind of stuff. Put a bunch of new sirens in. Have it doled out by the Department of Transportation straight to the Missouri Department of Transportation or the governor's office or something. They can redirect it to St. Louis or the mayor's office or something like that. So it doesn't just get wasted. All right. Anyway, that gets beyond my pay grade. I'm not going to tell them what to do with the money. I just want St. Louis to get it because they deserve it. They need it. And I found 15 billion in waste that can, let's just shave off a branch off that and toss it over to St. Louis. Why not? COVID relief. I know, right? I know. I know. I know. You want to see it? You want to see it? Hold on. Let me get it open here. Hold on. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Hold on. Okay, ready? Okay, here we go. This is the site that I'm using to search the grants. This is the free money that the government gives out to these companies and state officials or state companies that get set up to receive this funding. And look who's doling it out in this case, Department of Transportation. All I did was search disaster COVID and look at the amount. $15,723,928,811 in free money being given out by the Department of Transportation and a few other agencies. But look how many are from the Department of Transportation. And 35 million, 21 million. And it's for COVID, guys. It's COVID payouts. And it tells you, when the payouts end. 2029, 2028, 2026, 2027, just over and over. Look how many. Some of these are $50 million. Washington Department of Transportation. And we'll just read. The Metro Transit is applying to fortify 21 section of the American Rescue Action Plan or Rescue Plan Act, funding in the amount of blah, blah, blah. The funding will be used for the transit operations. The federal share short-term activities include COVID-19 emergency response services and wages for employees on paid administrative leave due to service reductions due to COVID. Paying out till 2027, 50 million, 30 million. Here, 536 million to San Francisco. What's it for? The American Rescue Plan. Paying out till, it just did. Till the end of this month. Oh man, they already cashed in 500 million on COVID, paying out till the end of this month. Gonna be shitting me. Well, too late to cancel that one. But here's 24 million going to San Francisco for water transportation to protect them against COVID. Florida's getting it. Look at how these. St. Louis could get one of these. Again, you could just cut a couple of these and give them to St. Louis. Seriously, to rebuild for the disaster of, it's a real legit disaster, not like COVID. So 500 million to Northeast Illinois Railroad Company. Hold on. $500 million to a railroad company for what? Operating assistance, cost necessary to operate, maintain, and transfer the Metro transit system, blah, 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 blah. During the COVID public health crisis to 2029, they're getting 500 million. Illinois is getting $500 million for their freaking metro services to be understaffed for COVID disaster until 2029. You got to be bullshitting me, man. Okay, St. Louis totally getting it, man. St. Louis totally getting their 100 million. They are. They will. They better. They better. No questions asked. 100 million to St. Louis. Bow. Cut that $500 million program to Illinois. That's right next to us. They didn't get a hit. Chicago, shame on you guys, dude. Shame, dude. Grifting up, dude. You guys, look. We're your sister city down here, down in St. Louis. We get creamed by a tornado. You guys are collecting $500 freaking million for COVID disaster relief for your Metro train services that you're already paying for. Screw that shit. No. 100 million to St. Louis better get paid out immediately for the full tornado disaster. Everybody gets a new house in the area. They're poor anyways. They totally love it. You got to be shitting me, dude. I cannot believe I just found this. Pardon my language. Kids, if you find $15 billion in waste and grift, you're allowed to swear. Just repent. Just don't do it in church and tell God you're sorry for swearing and that you didn't represent him good. I'm sorry for not representing Christ in the proper way here, but come on. We're talking a secular topic here. I'm flipping tables. How could Jesus do it without swearing? Because he was perfect. That's why. Get any of the disciples in there. You think Peter would have not swore? Now get the hell out of here. They're like, you're in the temple, dude. Okay. All right. Look, there's certain things. There's a time for peace, a time for joy. Okay. There's a time for everything, guys. In this case, it's okay to swear. My hometown's sitting there literally with the National Guard deployed with trying to clean up because they can't get the funding to do it all. And meanwhile, 500 million is getting paid out to Chicago until 2029 for their metro train services to recover from COVID. Tell me the biggest grift in the world. Gee, oh my God. See, you get me finding this kind of stuff, I go off. I don't care what party you're in, man. You're an anarchist, dude? Let's go party. Because, guys, this is crazy shit. Are you a communist? Because even you should be pissed that a private train company is getting private for capital train companies charging the people while collecting 500 million to 2029. I don't care whether you're Democrat, Republican, communist, capitalist. You're going to agree with me. That shit's cracked. And the only people who are going to be upset with me are the people actually collecting the money. I'm on COVID leave still. Cha-ching. They laid me off. I'm still collecting a paycheck. What? All right. Old man Dutch gets a little. I was supposed to stick to earthquakes. This falls under disaster relief, which becomes under being prepared. And, I wasn't prepared for this. You gotta be kidding me, man. Who the hell? How the hell? My state senators and the people in St. Louis, the mayor's office and everybody else. Again, Democrat, Republican, I don't care. Maybe we should have a big party where we celebrate that we finally got something from the government after catching them giving this kind of shit out to private companies to line their pockets. This is how you get subdivisions full of mega mansions and and a yearly car upgrade. How are these people doing it? Well, now I know. You guys ever drive down the road and look off to the side to see a subdivision of like mega mansions? You're like, what do these people do for a living to make this kind of stuff? Are they all lawyers or something? And it's like, no, they're all grifting off the government, Dutch. They're half the people in there are working for NGOs. And it's like, oh no. Is that what they teach you in college? They tap 1 in 10 students on the shoulder and teach them how to play the game. Teacher takes you under their wing. Let me show you how to get financing for the university, student. Right? You willing to play ball? Oh my God. COVID disaster relief. The biggest grift. The biggest grift was COVID. Shame. Great shame upon All the thieves taking that money while they're starving people on the streets, guys. Starving people running for their lives. I'm not laughing. This is crazy if you think about this. Starving people running for their lives in North St. Louis because they didn't get a tornado warning, while 500 million is getting paid to Chicago freaking Metro Transit for freaking paying salaries for COVID till 2029. Cancel that funding immediately and redirect 100 million of that five to St. Louis ASAP. Oh my gosh. Justice. There is no such thing. What are you talking about, justice? No, no, this is epic. Lady Justice with the blindfold on, with the scales. She just lifted her blindfold and gave me a wink and said, "You go, Dutch." All right. All right. You guys good? You good? Okay. Music. I said I was going to do music. Let's go ahead and turn on the sound on my phone so I can listen. Otherwise, I won't know what I'm playing, or I won't hear what I'm playing. Open Twitch. Good old Twitch. The app still works. Oh, do I want to go to the App Store and update it? What? Uh, will the old version still work? I want to go to the App Store and update it. What? Okay, it works. You hear my voice, it sounds really annoying with the echo in my voice.